Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to our Eileen Fisher Women Together Connect. Oh, it's wonderful to be together on this Tuesday. We are here from many parts of the world, so we're just going to say hello in the chat. Many of us are already doing so. And you might need to do it again if you want me to see it, if you've done it already. So we have a number of different places. As you put that in, I'll just say a little hello from here in what's clearly sunny Cortland Manor, New York. And yeah, I have lots of plant shadows going on, so excuse my lighting today. But it's a joy to be together. My name is Antoinette, for those of you who may not know, and I am one of our hosts. We have a lovely little team who has been holding our Women Together Connects up for the last few years, and it's wonderful to be with all of you. I have had such a joy of being all together over these last few weeks and months, and this is our last session of the year. So a warm welcome to all. I see that we're coming in from Switzerland, Poland, visiting a friend, Florida, greetings from Sonoma, California, New York City, Arlington, Massachusetts, Philadelphia, a Caribbean cruise, visiting Curacao and Aruba, and now landed back in New York City. So welcome back. Portugal, San Francisco, New Jersey, Bloomfield, Connecticut, Irvington, and Boulder, Colorado. Wonderful. So we are really coming in from all over. And Lisa, I'm glad that you went on vacation for all of us and got some sunshine. And I see that, we're really coming in from, both cold places, warm places, lots of Northern Hemisphere, and even places that might normally be warmer are maybe a little cooler. So I hope that you all are staying warm, finding ways to stay bright in the time of we're entering into solstice time. So we're heading into the winter solstice and the shortest day of the year. I've been noticing that as I get up for my morning yoga practice, that it's still dark. so just noticing that, but we will be moving into the light soon, and I hope that you all have warm holidays as well. But before we get to all of that and moving into the new year, I'd love to just invite us to land here in this space and just check in with yourself this morning or this afternoon, wherever you may be. Just feel a sense. We like to do these tiny practices, which is just a practice of gathering resilience, gathering a sense of really just where I am right now. And every time we can get that baseline of where I am right now, I can start to tune in when something feels a little off, or something, I feel a little excited about something, or I feel nervous, or I feel sad. Any of those moments start to become more vivid when we do this kind of baseline checking in. So let's just do a little moment of stillness and gather ourselves. That's how we build our practice and cultivate our resilience. So you can find a place to get your feet on the ground. That's often a nice way to land. Just feel a sense of the pads of your feet on the sock, maybe, or in the shoe, on the floor. Just feeling a sense of connection in some way to the earth, feeling a sense of groundedness, feeling a sense of just what it feels like to be human on the planet in this moment. Just noticing the breath moving in and out, the feeling of that. And then noticing if the quality of the breath shifted. So just noticing if the breath is shallow or deep, if it's moving quickly or slowly. Just staying with the breath and noticing if your mind has gone off to something else, just welcoming it back. Perhaps feeling a sense of uplift in the spine, feeling a sense of connection to the sky, the place just above the head. And just noticing the breath moving between earth and sky in the body. Moving both between a place of groundedness and connection to a space of possibility and openness and expansion. When you're ready, you can just connect with, for a moment, what brought you here today? What brought you to this Women Together space, to this connection? When you feel it, you can reconnect with the screen and type in what brought you here today. And type in the chat or the comments space, what brought you here today? Hmm. Connecting to the community, the group, support from others that I don't get from my husband. I think that one's my favorite so far. Time off for me, my weekly dose of serenity. I'm sick with what's probably RSV, my only outing for the week. I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope you recover very quickly, Amy. Um, Opportunity to slow down and reflect from a busy life. Wanted fellowship with women at Christmas. Connection, solace, getting back into my routine and life in New York. Just returned on Sunday night, so still getting acclimated. Needed to be together again. Nice, and more need to be together, time together. Lovely. Caring connection before zaniness of the holiday. Yes. Isn't that lovely that many of us have just come to build connection, to be together, to have a caring space. And I think that's just absolutely exactly what this is here for. This Women Together Connect is a moment to just find each other, to reconnect with ourselves, to reconnect with each other in a way that deepens, in a way that isn't just about the day-to-day, what I need to get done next, or what we need to do, or anything really even about doing at all. Really just focusing in on being in ourselves and our bodies and being together. And it's been such a wonderful year in so many ways. And I'm still just beginning my reflections for this year, but I thought that it would be lovely to do a little journaling practice, and just, not too long, really diving into our breakouts of connection here on Zoom. So if you're with us on Zoom, you'll be able to turn to each other and share with one another, just to be able to connect with each other. And if you're here on YouTube, you can take this moment to do some journaling practice, and perhaps whether you're on Zoom or in YouTube, you can find a way to take this practice into connection over the holiday. Because a lot of the time, on the holidays, I find that we get into these conversations of what have I done, what am I doing, and what do I plan to do next? So I talk a lot about travel with my family, where am I going, what am I doing? And we don't often give this sense of deepening internally. Oh, and I see some lovely friends on YouTube coming in. So it's so good to see friends that have been, we've been in connection with through Women Together and other spaces for the last couple of years or few years. It's so good to see so many of you coming in and reconnecting today. So we have from YouTube, simply to be with others of similar purpose, and carving out a tiny corner of space for yourself, especially as we begin to have house guests and visitors and our physical space becomes more crowded, along with our mental and emotional space. So yes, this is exactly, we're building the muscle of carving out time and space for ourselves. So thank you so much to our dear friends on YouTube and those of you in here for just tuning into the intention. And I invite that also as a tiny practice. We call that moment of stillness a tiny practice, and it feels very clear. At any moment in the day, I can just take a moment and I can tune in and I can tune into my breath. And I invite that setting an intention is also a tiny practice, noticing what brought me here. So when I, invite guests over to my house, or I go to someone's house, just before the moment when guests arrive, or just before the moment when you enter in the door, there's a threshold moment. It's this liminal space. It's the space in between what came before and what is about to come. And there's an opportunity in that threshold moment, just before you enter into that, to set an intention, to notice what actually brought me here. What actually brought me here today to this space with these people? And often we get so, tied up with what cheese am I going to bring, and how am I going to lay this out, and what is this tablecloth going to look like, that I forget to do the little bit of why am I doing this? So just reconnecting with that intention of what brought me here, what brought all of these people into my home today, and just connecting into that, especially because for many of us, it has been quite some time since we've done this kind of engagement. So what drew me here? What really brought me into this? And I appreciate that this is a muscle that we've been building, and these are the muscles that allow us to be resilient when the questions come in, or the whatever happens, that we have this capacity inside ourselves to reconnect in any moment. Just take a moment of stillness to set an intention, to reconnect with a sense of purpose, like what did I decide to do this day for? And just reconnecting with that. So good. We've done a little settling. We've done a couple of practices. We can just take a few moments to journal. And while we journal, we can tune in a little bit with a little bit of a reflection about this year. So I'll let you grab a journal and a pen. So if you have something to write on and with, that would be the most helpful, because often the work of the hands allow us to really feel into what is coming up for us, instead of just thinking my way through it, instead of just going on to mental overdrive with it. So if you have a pen and paper, that would be a good place to start. And then before we just start writing, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes for a moment and just recall, which is going to be, for me, this is very tough to remember things, but over this last year, but we're going to take a moment. We're just going to see what comes up. So we're going to take ourselves back to January of last year. So if you can close your eyes and just get settled and centered, tune into the breath, and just recall where you were in January of last year. Perhaps even on the new year, how the year started for you. And just noticing what comes really quickly, what's a highlight, and maybe what is sort of absent. Like, I know I did something, but it's not coming back to me. Just noticing what was a highlight for you, what was a joyful moment, or what's the first thing that kind of comes up for you, and just stay with that. And then moving your way into February and feeling into what was February like? What were the highlights? Maybe there were some challenges in there. And just being with that, what came up in February? What was important for you in February? And then moving into March. And just noticing what came up for you in March. Perhaps April started to open up into springtime, maybe just connecting with what was a highlight. What do you remember? What has sort of fallen away, and that's okay. Maybe it's even just how you felt in that time. It's just noticing the feeling of that time. Moving through into May. Just noticing if anything's coming up for you. Moving through the year at June, we're about halfway through the year. Just noticing anything that came up for you, excitement, sadness, frustration. Perhaps it was a summer time for you. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's quite likely. Moving into July and August. Perhaps summer went quickly, or perhaps it took its sweet time. So just noticing what happened for you in the summer, and then as we moved into September, October, November, just cascading into this holiday time in December, just noticing. And you can, as you sort of move through that visualization, just noticing what were you can just take some notes down. What brought you joy from this year? So you can start to write if you haven't been writing, if you've just been in your visualization space, you could take some time to get a pen to paper and just jot down some thoughts. What brought you joy from this year? And then perhaps what was a challenge or frustration? Maybe there was something that particularly stood out for you from this year, from 2022, that was a challenge or frustration. So just writing down and noticing what feelings come up, but what was challenging or frustrating for you about this year? And then considering if you had challenges and frustrations and there was something that brought you joy, what gave you energy? So what gave you a sense of feeling like time is just flying and I'm just so, you know, feeling alive and vibrant and energized. And it could be that something that was frustrating you also brought you energy, but just noticing what brought me energy this year. And finally, if 2022 planted any seeds for 2023 and beyond, what would those be? If you could identify what those seeds would be that you perhaps want to nurture in 2023, what seeds did you plant in 2022 that you would want to nurture and grow in 2023? You can just write those down. So you can turn to each other in a few moments, but as we do this, just noticing as you look at your journaling, are there any key words that come up for you? Is there anything that maybe came up a few times? Or so you could just, if you'd like, you can circle those words, but just noticing if there were key words that were really strong or powerful or important for you. So just noticing those kinds of essentialized pieces of our what we're prioritizing, what gives us energy, what's frustrating, just being with that. And we're going to turn to each other in Zoom for the next 20 minutes or so. And we're going to just share a little bit of what came up. So we'll share our name, where we're coming from. And the invitation is to share with one another just what feels like the essential parts of what you just journaled. You don't need to share everything. You don't need to go into the deepest and darkest places or, keep it only super light, but just really share what's right for you. And we'll dive into that together. And remembering that we don't know what the other person or people in our room had for breakfast, let alone their life story or their last year. So just holding each other gently, holding ourselves gently, and holding compassion for the people that we're with. So enjoy the time together. We'll be back in about 20 minutes and we'll have a little extended time to close up.